Thank you for staying with us on Poll Stream. Well, one of the issues that have been going around is the fact that fake news will be everywhere, but some entertainers have actually taken to social media, using that platform, to see how they can push for the need to actually look at stuff before you share. And we have one of them with us in the studio. He had a very compelling video on fake news, Maiwa. Well, we have with us Frank, I beg your pardon, Kunle Frank Donga Ido. It's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
I'm trying to wrap around my head around calling you Frank Donga in a very official setting.
It's all good.
Yeah, I can understand. But, that's what we've gotten used to over the years. So let's look at the whole, fake news. Today is the day, and, a lot of that is going to be going around. How would you say that was the reason why you made that content that has gone viral?
Yes. I believe because everybody's excited, people are generally very emotional in Nigeria about politics, and I think there's a need for us to make sure that the kind of news we push around, especially on social media, is credible, is factual, and is correct and accurate.
Yeah, indeed. So, so talking about that, how do you make sure of these things? How do you confirm the credibility of a news item or anything you see on social media?
First of all, thank you very much, Victor. First of all, I think it's important to always ask questions. People on Twitter, on Instagram, or whatever social media platform, Facebook, those platforms are very active and very busy during election periods, not only in Nigeria, across the world. So when people, whether at home or at the site of voting, when they share or tweet or spread information, the first thing that people need to do is make sure that the source of their information is from a credible source. Make sure you get your news not just from anywhere, but from a credible source, and ask questions. If you see a handle, post something, ask for validity, ask for proof. Probably video form. Not that videos can't be inaccurate, but, as much as you can, make sure you have your information from a credible source. Ask questions about it before you go ahead and retweet or repost or endorse that kind of information. It's important so that we don't spread fake news that can hit up the polity.
Very good. Now, and I remember that in the days running up to D-Day, the election day, INEC has been having daily briefings, and I do remember that during one of those briefings, it was mentioned that people should avoid posting election results.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on social media. Avoid posting, because INEC is the only one authorized
to do that.
To announce election results. And today is D-Day. There would likely be people who would disobey that. But first, I want to ask you, have you seen any funny business online today? Any fake news, any funny business going on?
A whole bunch of stories are flying all over the place from allegations of violence here, and not to say they are not actual reports of violence or violent-looking incidents around the country, in some parts of the country. There was one particular tweet I saw where there was a collage of 4 pictures, I think, where a group of young men were, handcuffed, and someone said that there was another picture next to that about them being caught with ammunition and weapons. And somebody asked a question and said, you had like 20 bags of ammunition. Somebody said, can 3 people actually carry this amount of ammunition or weapons around on an election day? Those are the kind of simple questions you can ask. Of course, the person that tweeted that didn't bother to respond. And when I checked the handle out, it was a very beautiful picture of a lady, some kind of bio there. It didn't really look like a credible handle. So those are the kind of things people should ask questions. Where did you get this from? Who are these people who can validate or verify this? Why are you there? Are you an eyewitness? Those are the kind of things. And when it comes to election results, it's natural that people are excited to post, I think my candidate is going to win. But only one source can actually do that. That's INEC. And people need to be patient and make sure they follow the laws.
Yeah, so, talking about the person who shared that information that you just talked about, so how do people go about, because I know there's the report button, there's the block button. Which one should people actually look out or look to use, in situations like this, in terms of curbing this menace?
In cases like this, where you suspect a particular social media account or handle is churning out news that it's not verifiable or seems to be controversial, and you've asked questions, you've taken steps like that, you can't validate, and that handle seems to be dodgy, they are not responding to any further interrogation or question, it might be appropriate to report those handles to the platform. If you're on Twitter, you can go to your report handle or your report button on Twitter. Block might not be the right thing to do because then they can also spread to other people. So if you report them, I'm sure platforms like Facebook and Twitter have algorithms in place to handle such things and either reduce the effectiveness of those handles or either suspend them temporarily.
Yeah, so on who does it lie? I mean, because people retweet, like you said, they retweet and they reshare. So who will be liable? Who would be held responsible in this instance for sharing fake news, of course?
Yeah, thank you, Victor. Any handle or person, any source from which a fake material, fake information, or negative or false information comes from is directly liable. But if you have a huge following on social media, even if it's just 5, 10 people that are following you, you should hold yourself accountable for the kind of information you push forward, that you propel, that you empower, that you project. So each and every one of us, we're all liable, we're all responsible with our social media footprint, what kind of information we're spreading. If you can't vouch for it, if you can't verify it, if you can't confirm, I think it's appropriate to either tag the Nigerian police or INEC or any other solid media outfit for clarification in those cases. But you yourself, you are responsible for what you post or retweet from your handle.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand, but for some reason, you know, it's really good to see you not as Frank Donga, but as.
But let's see him as Frank Donga. Actually, let's see
exactly.
his skit on Instagram about fake news or fairly used news.
Fairly used news. I mean, either way, let's take a look at that.
On this special edition of Fairly Used News, in the house we have one expert that's going to help us discuss some of our topic today. His name is. Please tell us your name so that we can meet you at home.
My name is Yuge Kafa. The A is silent. Yes, Yuge Kafa. And I particularly appreciate the opportunity that you have given us to come to this show. People like us, we have information. Because I can psychologically, categorically, nonsensically, and intellectually tell you what is going on. There are nothing less than 18 politicians, just 3 kilometers from here, have been arrested, bombarded, and captured inside the polling booth for fighting. 18 politicians. Again, I can confirm that the police have arrested nothing less than 3 million thugs at the central market. Yes!
3 million.
Go and check the central market here. 3 million thugs. Fighting. Macheting people and humiliating people. Even in my area. You understand? Nothing is happening. Nothing. Why?
Wow.
Interesting video.
Absolutely
Did you see something? That name he called Yuge Kafa.
Yeah.
It's actually a fake guy in reverse.
Oh, mine. I said, okay, Frank.
Good one.
Kunle, I saw what you did there. I mean, really saw.
We see what you did there.
Yeah. Well, in moving forward now, we're being joined by our correspondent from Abuja studio by our revolutionary virtual reality set. Terry Ikumi, thank you for joining us on the program.
It's good to see you in
thanks for having
Lagos.
me. Good to be in Lagos.
Very well then. What's been going on? I mean, you've been going around. What's the atmosphere like in Abuja?
It's been an interesting one, I must say, in Abuja. Relatively, voting didn't start so early in some areas as much as it did in some other areas. I took my time to go around and I made some observations. I also followed up on results, information posted by correspondents who went around. For some areas, let me start with the military presence. Not so much was noticed, but in some, at least, we didn't have any report of military presence at the polling booths. The thing is, somewhere in between certain polling units, you would find military presence to ensure the no movement, the restriction of movement. But in all, I would say the turnout, voter turnout in Abuja, amazing. I've had some of the feedback I received from some voters made me realize that people were interested in voting. In fact, Kayla did tell me that there were quite a number of first-time voters who were very, very bent on ensuring that they vote and their votes count. Now, there was an incident today in Abuja at the AYA polling unit where ballot papers, election materials, election officials arrived quite late at about 10, and the ballot papers that were brought there were already thumbprinted on. That raised quite some reactions from the voters there at the time, and it was now discovered, according to what the one of the election observers there told me, that voting had already commenced at Area 11, Total Filling Station Area 11, before they realized that they were at the wrong polling unit.
Terry,
So
let me come in. I mean,
AYA.
talking about the ballot papers that were already thumb printed. Was anyone arrested for that?
No. It's not the police were there. The INEC resident electoral commissioner was there to clarify the issue. So what I was saying was that they had already started voting at a certain area. Area 10, Area 11, total filling station Area 11, which some of the voters said they found out by imputing their details online to find their polling units. And while some others were waiting at AYA, voting was going on at Area 11. By the time they realized that, they moved to AYA, and then the voters there insisted that no, they must burn all the already cast ballots and give fresh ones which should be issued to them. So as at the time, I think about an hour ago when we left the place, they had settled the issue, and initially they spoke with the REC spoke with party agents on what they expect. So the decision was final that they had to start voting all over again.
We thankfully, I mean, there were no incidences like you said, especially for what we saw in Lagos, in Okota, as well as in the Aguda area of Surulere. I mean, as the day progresses, of course, Terry would hope that you come back and give us more updates on what is going on. But we'd have to say thank you for being with us, and sharing updates from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you so much.
Well, interesting one.
Yeah, so I think one of the things I like is the fact that people have to check online for their polling units. So that means technology is gradually coming in. That mypu.com is actually a good one by INEC.
But I know that, the day is still fresh. People still need to send their reactions to us.
Exactly.
Use the hashtag #PollStream. Send your videos, your tweets. I'm Mayawa Ogundele.
Thank you very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias.